could we potentially see the first big trade of the season? Well, per multiple reports, Las Vegas Raiders star wide receiver Davante Adams has requested a trade from the team after their 2-2 start to the season. Adams coming off his fourth consecutive 1,000-yard season and is guaranteed $16.8 million in salary this season with 2 years left on his contract afterwards. We're now joined by two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden and CBS Sports NFL analyst John Breech. And I can't quite say that I'm surprised to see this coming. Adams seemed frustrated in Vegas the last two seasons, and just especially considering quarterback play. But we all know the two QBs he does have a rapport with: Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr. He spent 8 seasons with Rodgers in Green Bay, and I believe came to Vegas with the opportunity originally to play with his college QB Derek Carr. And now Adams has both the Jets and Saints on his wish list of potential landing spots. So, Breech, how realistic is that Adams gets what he wants in this situation?
Well, I think if you're the Raiders, you don't want to keep him on the roster if he's unhappy. So it feels like a deal will eventually get done. And you can't really trade him to a team he doesn't want to go to, because we've already seen this year what happens if you try to do that. It's called pulling a Hassan Reddick, where the player goes and then doesn't play. So I think if a team feels like Davante Adams doesn't want to play there, they'll just pull out of the trade talk. So it does feel like the Jets and the Saints are the most realistic options. And it makes a lot of sense. Look, you are going to be going in there 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks into the season. You have to learn a new offense. You want to be with the quarterback you're familiar with, because if you're not, you have to learn a new offense. You have to build chemistry with a new quarterback. So if you go to the Jets or Saints, you have Aaron Rodgers, you have Derek Carr, you're happy. So I do think we see it happen to the Jets. Seems like it makes most sense.
B-Mac, okay, let's say he does get what he wants, and just following off of what Breech just said, what's the fit looking like in both New York and in New Orleans?
I think the short term, it looks pretty good with the Jets. And the reason why I say that, Kiana, John, is because you don't know what Aaron Rodgers will do after 2024. You know, Aaron Rodgers, he is the oldest quarterback in the National Football League, coming off a season-ending injury in 2023. He's starting to get his quarterback rhythm back right now with the Jets. But moving forward, we don't know right now if Aaron Rodgers decides to call it quits after this season. If you're Davante Adams, you don't know who will walk into the building to become the new quarterback for the New York Jets. The long term, of course, is the New Orleans Saints, because we believe Derek Carr will be with the New Orleans Saints after this season, especially when you look at how well he's been performing for the organization. So for Davante, clearly you're right, John. He wants to go into a situation when you talk about joining a team mid-season. You want to have some type of familiarity already established there, and he has that with both quarterbacks in Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers. And get this, both teams are looking pretty good, especially the New Orleans Saints. When you look at what they've been able to do, being relevant, especially in the NFC South, you know Davante he would like to join a team that have playoff aspirations. And as we see in 4 weeks of play, both teams clearly have playoff aspirations.
It's one of those situations where it's long-term success versus short-term success. And like you said, it all could depend on what's going on with Aaron Rodgers and how long he could see himself playing football. But how about another team that I heard could be in the mix? Dallas. But the Cowboys, they have their own issues to deal with on the other side of the ball, as their two top pass rushers exited Thursday's game, but avoiding major injuries. Micah Parsons suffering a left high ankle sprain and is expected to be week to week, and DeMarcus Lawrence with a significant right foot sprain and being placed on injured reserve. Let's hear from head coach Mike McCarthy on what's next for Dallas's defense.
It's a great opportunity for the others. I mean, it's very apparent. I mean, you walk into your team meeting and you got, D-Law and Micah sitting in the front row because of, injuries that they're dealing with. But it's a great opportunity for others, and we're excited about it. We took a step in New York, had a chance to catch our breath. Obviously, injuries are part of it. You never want to lose any of your guys, especially your top guys. But this is a great opportunity to show the quality of our football team, and we're excited about this opportunity.
B-Mac, this is a Dallas defense that let New Orleans hang 44 on them, albeit we didn't know what to make of that team just yet. They had to rally back at home against the Ravens, but fell short, and then let Daniel Jones and co. hang around on Thursday night in that eventual victory. But does this injury news spell big trouble for Dallas?
No question. big trouble, big trouble. It's not a good thing because they were trying to find their stride. And they did so comparing what they did not do in other games leading up to the Giants game last Thursday night. They looked pretty good, but to your point, Daniel Jones and the New York Giants, they did hang around, right? So they didn't really dominate in a convincing way. And then you lose your best defensive player in Michael Parsons, and you lose your best defensive lineman in DeMarcus Lawrence. So when you talk about next man up mentality, yeah, that sounds good, but the production that player will give it won't be the same production as D-Law and Michael Parsons. And you're going against a team that took one on the chin last week in the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Indianapolis Colts. You're going against a team that they've been known to run the football, and they also have a +1 in the running game in their quarterback in Justin Fields. So this is the wrong time for Dallas to have these type of injuries surface, especially on the defensive side. That has been the Achilles heel so far for their team when you talk about not being relevant in winning ball games in this early part of the season.
Listening to Mike McCarthy, my goodness, NFL head coaches are the most optimistic people in the world. The glass is always half full. He's talking about being excited that these younger players are getting opportunities because their two best defensive players are out. No, I would be out there saying, we're waving the white flag on the season. We cannot win with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence out. We're talking about those guys have combined for 50% of the team's sacks this year, so you're losing that angle on the pass rush. The team was already giving up the 6th most rushing yards in the NFL through 4 weeks, so you lose that number's not going to get better with Parsons and Lawrence out. You're facing a Steelers team that is probably going to try to run all over them, and then you show up in Detroit a week later. I don't know how you're going to stop Jared Goff with no pass rush. So yes, this seems like an absolute disaster. I think the only good news for the Cowboys is that if they do lose these next 2 games and they fall to 2-4, the season's not over. They still face the Commanders twice down the road. They still face the Eagles twice down the road, so there'll be an opportunity to get back in the race. But for the near future, this is absolute disaster.
It's kind of like you're saying head coaches are like politicians. They're saying what's right, what the people want to hear, and, you know, that might not necessarily be the story. But, fellas, I want to stay out in the NFC as there's good news and bad news for the Falcons. Good news when Bijan Robinson, who was on the injury report with a hamstring injury, said he's ready to go for Thursday night showdown against the Bucs. So I got to talk bad news. They'll be without reigning NFC Defensive Player of the Week, Troy Anderson, who has been ruled out with a knee injury. But as for those 3-1 Bucs, well, they've got an extensive injury report. Mike Evans landed on the report while battling a knee and calf injury. However, returned to practice this week, a positive sign. Nose tackle Vita Vea was a full participant at practice on Wednesday, signs pointing to him playing. Meanwhile, safety Antoine Winfield Jr. officially ruled out with a foot injury. All right, fellas, looking at this NFC South showdown, you got to think about it. You have these Falcons coming off a big win over those Saints. We were talking about that team just a few moments ago. Bucs, though, sitting at 3-1. John, I'm coming to you. Are the Bucs the best team in that division? What do you expect? Who do you expect to really take an opportunity to maybe flex those muscles Thursday night?
Kiana, it's funny because I feel like every time we talk about the Buccaneers, everybody just sleeps on them. I mean, this is a team that has won the division 3 straight years. They got no respect coming into 2024. Everybody was saying, oh, Kirk Cousins, the Falcons, they're going to win this division. Derek Carr's 2nd year. He's finally got the offense. He knows what he's doing. They're going to win the division. And everybody just kind of slept on the Bucs. And here they are. They have come out, and they haven't just looked good. I would say they've looked great. You look at the 3 teams they beat, the Washington Commanders, the Philadelphia Eagles. They've beaten 3 good teams. Those 3 teams, they're 0-3 against the Buccaneers. They're 8-1 against everyone else. So Tampa Bay has beaten some very, very good teams. It's because Chris Godwin's looked good. Mike Evans has looked good. And he'll obviously need to be out in the field. That helps Baker Mayfield out a lot. So I think the Buccaneers are absolutely the best team in the NFC South. They'll have a chance to prove it on Thursday night. But look, nobody's knocked them off this perch for several years, so until someone does, Tampa is the team to beat in my eyes.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. I mean, Tampa, you talk about a team that has been slept on. They've been slept on almost every year since Tom Brady has retired, and all they've done has been relevant and take care of the business within their division. Todd Bowles, he's been doing a phenomenal job getting his guys ready to go. And Baker Mayfield, you talk about what he's been able to do under the radar week in and week out. He has been balling. He's not arguably, he is the best quarterback currently in the NFC South. And you talk about the teams they beat, yes, they dominated the Washington Commanders. And now when you look at that victory, you kind of look at it and smile a little more because it's more impressive watching what the Commanders have done since losing to Tampa. You talk about how they dominated against Philadelphia. And don't forget, going on the road against the Detroit Lions, they're in Ford Field, shorthanded because there were so many players that did not participate in that ball game. They didn't miss a beat. Took care of their business as well. So until I see otherwise, yes, they're the cream of the crop in the NFC South.
B-Mac and Breech telling you to stop sleeping on the Bucs. They're the real deal, and these last few years post-Brady have proved to be. So, fellas, thanks for the insight. Speaking of insight, you want more? We got you right here on CBS Sports HQ. Primetime pregame. We'll get you set for Thursday Night Football as we were talking about those Falcons and Bucs. We'll have pre- and post-game coverage. You know where to find us right here on HQ.